Good evening. Welcome to tonight's show. I have selected some very interesting news articles for today. And lots of interesting videos. We will see news from Saudi Arabia, from Sweden, France, Germany, and during reading this news and commenting on them, we will also listen to this wonderful music, and in between you can watch some memes that I selected. Our first story for tonight comes from Saudi Arabia.
But in all moments, rise for good. Be among
Saudi Arabia detains activists who pushed to end ban on women driving.
as one who stood.
They detained at least 5 people connected to the campaign to end the ban on women driving. Despite the fact that the government has promised to lift the ban next month. Jason Geltart said in the chat, great music. Thank you, Jason. All the music tracks that you will hear during the show are from my YouTube channel. His link is in the description. Landon Good said, tell everyone you know in California to vote for Patrick Little as senator on 5th June. Yes, I think we should all support Patrick. Even if you don't live in California, you should tell
winning if I get elected that you may get
you
bored.
should tell about him to anyone you know that lives and votes in California.
You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored.
Now we saw in the previous news article about people getting arrested in Saudi Arabia because they want to end the ban on women driving. Now, our next news article is also from Saudi Arabia. They are about to behead 6 schoolgirls for acting indecently with their male friends. Six young schoolgirls are facing execution. Because they celebrated a birthday at a friend's house with 3 boys. A neighbor saw them and reported this to Saudi Arabia's religious police. When the police arrived, the girls were dancing with their male friends and they were arrested immediately. Imagine what a shithole country Saudi Arabia is. They have a religious police that arrests schoolgirls because they are dancing during a birthday party with boys. I see the Glaucon in the chat. Welcome. The order said that he was working Saudi Arabia 6 years ago and got caught in the bazaar, and they herd people into the center of town for executions. It is rough to see as an outsider, but the people cheered. Yes, this is a third world country with a third world culture, a barbaric culture. And unfortunately, we are slowly importing part of this culture into our own societies. Two in the chat said, but Saudis are our allies. Trump gave them billions.
Winning. If I get elected, then you may get
Well,
bored.
you've guessed
Believe me.
my next subject.
I agree. You'll never get bored with.
Exactly 1 year ago, on May 20th, 2017, Trump did his first foreign visit as a US president, and he chose to visit Saudi Arabia. His first trip as the US president was to this barbaric country that beheads publicly schoolgirls because they were dancing with their friends. So like Trump says often, this is sad.
We will have so much
Gorge Dobak said, cool show. Thank you, Gorge.
with winning. Believe me. I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored.
And you should also remember that Trump, after his first trip as a president was to Saudi Arabia, and his second choice, exactly after Saudi Arabia, he went to Israel. Our two biggest allies, our two best friends, Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, our next story comes from Sweden. A man is facing hate speech charges for satirizing Sharia punishments. this man in Sweden satirized the things that are happening today in Saudi Arabia and many other barbaric countries. As you can see here, he satirized the stoning of women, and he also satirized this barbaric type of punishment, things that are happening publicly in Saudi Arabia and many other countries. But if you even try to satirize them, you can get in deep trouble here in the European Caliphate. The man is saying that I was reported by a self-appointed anti-hate speech group with government funding. Government funding. And I was interrogated by two young females at the police station. They said that he is responsible to have incited hate towards Muslims and Arabs. A special female attorney devoted to online hate speech is considering taking him to court now. So something that is happening publicly in Saudi Arabia and many other countries of this type even mentioning it within Europe, they can charge you for hate speech, because we live in a crazy time where the truth is hate speech.
We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning. Believe me. I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored.
Someone in the chat said, share on Reddit, Poseidon, please. Well, every time I share a video or something else on Reddit, they usually delete it and ban me. Hello, Blau Bayou. But you can help the truth. You can spread the truth, and you can also help the effort that I'm doing on this channel by sharing the streams on social media. In order for more people to come and join our show. As many of you probably know, this is my secondary channel. It only has about 500 subscribers. My main channel with 3.5 thousand subscribers got a strike 2 days ago and I can't stream there anymore. Plasma John Doe said, I saw Kushner speak at opening of USA Embassy in Israel. Well, the opening of the US Embassy in Israel is one of my subjects that I will touch later. The order is saying that he was spamming my name in the Metocast last night. People were asking what it was, maybe they show up. Well, there is no need to spam other people's streams. The best way is to share the link of the show during the time that the show is live, like now, on Twitter, on Gab, on Minds, on Facebook. Also, if you want to support my work and you have PayPal, you can use the PayPal link in the description. Or the Streamlabs link. Streamlabs is working through Facebook and your message and your name will appear live on the screen. Now let's move on to our next news article. This is again from Sweden. The police is warning it will be a rape summer. This was published today, a few hours ago. A rape summer. The police urged women not to go out late themselves. If I remember correctly, I think the same thing happened about 1 year ago in Germany. So women in Europe should not go out late, and they should not go out by themselves anymore. I think soon they will also say that it would be better that women should not drive, and gradually Europe is becoming exactly like Saudi Arabia. Our next news article comes from South Africa. Shocking stats reveal that 41% of rapes in South Africa are against children. I will not look into detail because this subject makes me feel sick. I'm just wondering, what is it in South Africa that makes people do these horrible things? Now, our next news comes from France. Today, masked gunmen with Kalashnikovs opened fire on a group of youngsters in Marseille, leading to a shootout with French police. I see in the chat AlphaGo and Monroe, welcome. Mike D said it feels like an 80s movie with music. Yeah, yes, I'm an 80s child, so this is the type of music that I like. AlphaGo said that I should go a little lower on the music. I lowered it. Let me know if it's better now. Welcome, Teresa Smats. Teresa said that 78,000 whites were murdered since '94. Yes, I think you mean in South Africa, and it is true. South Africa has become a very dangerous place to live if you are white. Chris Kaiser and Augustus love the show and the music. Thank you. Now let's read what happened in France. A group of masked attackers in 3 cars fired AK-47 assault rifles at young people in the French city of Marseille.
Hooded gunmen armed with Kalashnikov.
Well, unfortunately, France has become a very dangerous place to live. Just like the UK, Germany, Sweden. Europe is slowly changing. And it's not changing by chance. This is a planned change. Now let's take a look at what is happening in Germany.
The German authorities say they cannot account for over 30,000 failed asylum seekers whom they told to leave the country. Well, straight to Berlin now, and Peter Oliver for more on this. Well, hi there, Peter. So how did this happen?
Well, we found this information out following an interview that was given by a spokesperson from the Federal Ministry of the Interior. He said that back in December 2016, there were 54,000 people that had applied for asylum and been turned down, and they were told that they had to leave the country. Now, as of now, out of those 54,000, only around 23,000 are confirmed to have either left Germany or the authorities know where they are.
So, fake refugees go to Germany, they ask for asylum, and because they are not coming from countries that are in war, the asylum gets rejected, and then they magically disappear.
The process of them leaving Germany, that leaves around 30,000 that they have absolutely no idea where they are. Well, the Interior Ministry spokesperson confirmed that these people are missing in the system.
It cannot be determined in individual cases whether those who were supposed to leave the country have done so or have dropped off the radar without informing the authorities.
So why has this happened? Well, if you look deeper into the whole system surrounding asylum and the refugee system here, it highlights some big problems. If we look at just how many cases are being processed, they were processing 50,000 cases a month. That's now dropped off to 18,000 per month. 52,000 old cases still haven't even been opened. Some of these go back to 2015.
So there are so many thousands of fake refugees in Germany that the German authorities cannot process all these cases. I think Angela Merkel has tried really hard to destroy Germany. And I just wonder, why do the Germans vote her again and again and again? While I'm reading the news articles and commenting on the videos, it's difficult for me to follow the chat at the same time. I'm just one man trying to do a lot of things at the same time. But if you have PayPal, you can send your message or your question through Streamlabs. It's just like Super Chat for channels like mine that don't get Super Chat from YouTube. Our next story is again from Germany.
Germany is unable to deport 65,000 failed asylum seekers. The problem is that they just don't have any identification documents. RT's Hanisha Sethi picks up the story.
In the first speech of her new chancellorship, Angela Merkel couldn't avoid arguably the most controversial move, letting over 1 million migrants into Germany. Yet she still chose to stick with her "we can do this" mantra, despite promising deportations.
People who have no right to protection will have to leave our country, preferably voluntarily, but if necessary, by state deportations.
But that's easier said than done, as it turns out so far. The number of rejected asylum seekers that can't be deported has jumped up by 71% in 1 year alone. That's according to a report by the German Interior Ministry, seen by major German publishing house Funke Media. This increase is from 38,000 in 2016 to 65,000 in 2017. Reasons behind it? Well, a lack of travel documents and a lack of communication between German authorities and countries of origin.
So even if the fake refugees don't go missing, Germany can still not deport them. Because most of them don't have any IDs. So where should they deport them if they don't know which country they come from? They can't just deport them to outer space. And most of these fake refugees throw away any documents they have on them before entering Europe. Exactly for this reason, so that the authorities cannot deport them. And many that are in their 20s or 30s, they throw away their IDs for another reason, because then they can claim to be children. "35-year-old men who claim that they are 16 or 17. Welcome objective realism in the chat. London Good said Merkel and May are childless hugs. Yes, this is true. Most of those pro-open borders and pro-immigration are childless. So they don't care what happens to Europe after they die, because they don't have any children. Our next story is again from Germany.
There are fresh claims over an asylum scandal at Germany's refugee agency. It's understood that the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees in Bremen knew about possible wrongdoing earlier than first thought since February last year, and officials are suspected of taking bribes to approve applications. Opposition parties are putting pressure on the Interior Minister, Horst Seehofer, seen here. The 68-year-old is the biggest employer of the Federal Office. It's after 1,200 asylum seeker cases were approved, even though they didn't meet the relevant requirements between 2013 and 2016. According to the German press, it's reported internal emails allegedly show that the responsible department head called for an examination to be carried out, and I quote, without fuss and without too much detail. These claims have been rejected by the Federal Office's headquarters in Nuremberg. Decisions on 18,000 asylum approvals will now be checked.
So there is a new way to get asylum status in Germany. You bribe with a few thousand euros and you become a refugee and you get asylum. But while they have all these problems with the fake refugees and the bribes and the vanishing refugees in Germany,
there's controversy in Germany over a cartoonist's depiction of the Israeli Prime Minister as the winner of this year's Eurovision Song Contest. A German newspaper ended its collaboration with the author after a public outcry. We'll show you the picture in question. The artist says he wanted to criticize Benjamin Netanyahu for exploiting Israel's victory in the contest for his own political ends. However,
so a cartoonist made a cartoon of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. And this is considered anti-Semitism in Germany.
but some have accused him of resorting to anti-Semitic cliches.
I don't think Süddeutsche Zeitung should publish Dieter Hanitz's cartoons. He seems to be a hardline anti-Semite.
Dieter Hanitsch is a very dangerous man and absolutely anti-Semitic. This has been clear for the last 40 years. No more idiotism.
Caricatures are important for shaping public opinion, but there is no place for encouraging anti-Semitism.
After the outcry, the newspaper pulled the caricature and apologized for printing it. But the cartoonist, Dieter Hanich, is defiant.
Objective Realism just donated $20. His message is, great work, Poseidon. Thank you very much, buddy. And I also see Critique is in the chat. He's saying, keep up the good work, mate. Thank you, Critique. You too. So this cartoonist in Germany lost his job in the newspaper for drawing a cartoon, a funny cartoon of Benjamin Netanyahu singing at the Eurovision contest. Because it was immediately labeled as anti-Semitic. Let's take a closer look at this anti-Semitic cartoon. Unfortunately, here in Europe, we are not able to criticize or even make fun of Israel and of Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, my next story is a sad story. My next story is about a man that was doxxed . He was doxxed because he went to Charlottesville . He lost his job . LA Werewolf made a video about it . Let's see what happened there.
Andrew Dodson is deceased. He chose to take his life. He chose to end it and kill himself. And this is a very touchy subject and a very big deal because this guy is well accomplished. 33 years old, a biochemical engineer who graduated from Arkansas. And he took a lot of pride in what he's done. He's given seminars, well-spoken guy. He wanted to actually change the industry of natural gas and make it better and reduce all the waste in the industry and actually create more American jobs. So he put a lot of things above himself, and he decided one day to go to the Unite the Right rally dressed up in all white with a Pepe on one side and a Wojak embroidered on the other side. And because of this, people wanted to know who he was. So the account, Yes, You're a Racist, ran by Logan James, decided to ask, who is this man? Who is he? We gotta figure out who he is. And so they figured him out, and they put his identity on his Tumblr account. So doxing is automatically illegal and wrong to do on Twitter, and yet he still gets to keep his Twitter account. But he decides to post these things on Tumblr, post his personal information, and openly brag that he lost his job. And here's the statement here put out by the company he used to work for that says they don't want to associate with them because he went to the Unite the Right rally. And so because he did go there, and because Mr. Dodson decided to go to the Unite the Right rally, I want to play some footage of him there because I want to show you how nice he is and how forgiving he is. And he's so compassionate and nice, he forgives the people who decided to actually throw acid or pepper spray him in the face.
An amazing guy.
Okay, so like moral authority. The real war here is not fought with sticks and fists and pepper spray. The real war here is over who truly loves. One side says that your family doesn't matter, that your culture doesn't matter, and that all things are to be brought together and equal, and we must like give to everyone like as a whole thing, disregarding the duty that we have to our own family. If you do not have a strong house,
I forgive you, I love you, and I would rather suffer this pain now than your family and your children dying. This is nothing compared to the 100 million.
This was a very nice guy. He went to the Unite the Right rally. He was pepper sprayed. He said that he forgives those that pepper sprayed him. And what did they do? They doxed him and he lost his job.
I am not a victim. We are no victims.
Like CNN and other publications on the internet who praise him.
This is the guy that doxed him. This guy has a Twitter account and his mission is to dox people on the right.
For trying to dox people, expose them, ruin their lives, get their own family members to hate them and disavow them, take away every network you have, whether it's your career path and your source of income, to people who love you, to your friends that you could probably count on when you lose your job. He's basically isolating you from the world through guilt and manipulation, and this kind of stuff needs to stop. Now, is what he's doing technically illegal? Not really. So he's illegally allowed to do so, and so this is the workaround of Marxism. This is the goal here of a lot of Marxists out here. This is the Bob Avakian social justice Marxism that goes around the law and uses stigma and guilt to get people to push you out of the economy, to push you away from your loved ones, and to divide you out of the whole.
This account here. The account, Yes, You're Racist. This is the account that doxes people, and this is the account that made this great man to take his own life. This video was made by LA Werewolf. You should check out his channel. He makes great videos. So we saw how doxing can destroy a man's life. He can lose his job, he can lose his friends. And it can also drive him to take his own life. But when I saw the story, it reminded me of another doxer. Do you remember who had a doxing site? A site called Social Autopsy. Let's take a look. This is a video from 2016 by Chris Reagan about Social Autopsy.
Today we're going to be talking about a Kickstarter for a brand new site called socialautopsy.com. So just so you know what this site is, it's essentially a database for offensive people. If I don't like something Cunty Dickless said on Twitter or Facebook, I can make a profile for Cunty Dickless and post all of his offensive posts there, so that anybody who looks him up in the future will see all of his offensive posts and only those offensive posts. So as ridiculous as that idea is, we've got the premise out of the way. So with all that out of the way, let's watch the amazing video these fine folks have provided with us on their Kickstarter page. Wave goodbye to cyberbullies and trolls. Oh fuck, don't text me right now, I'm in the middle of...
The human race has never been more connected. It takes a nanosecond, a mere push of a button, to share our ideas, opinions, and emotions across the world instantly.
Does this name remind you of something?
Your best friend tweets at you, or for every "I miss you" comment.
Candace Owens.
There are literally thousands of instances of hate speech being circulated online. Because when communication happens through a screen, and when moments are experienced through a lens, a terrifying extraction takes place. The age of technology and social media has slowly disintegrated individual accountability.
Now before we get to the next point here, I actually do agree with the thesis here. The internet has led to a lack of accountability, that much is absolutely true. We see this in swattings and doxings, like nobody would do those things if they thought internet...
So, Candace Owens was the face and the voice 2 years ago of Social Autopsy, a doxing site. So this girl, Candace Owens, that was working in this doxing site. I remember her because I saw her today in the opening ceremony of the US Embassy in Jerusalem. Take a look.
But there was also, some of the new and upcoming frauds like Candace Owens, aka Red Pill Black, which Trump recently retweeted. Why? I don't know. I think because look at my African American over there.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
So anyways, she was there, if you can believe it. Surprised Laura Loomer wasn't there either. Maybe she was, actually. She was certainly there a few days before when the missiles from Iran came flying, as she said on the Alex Jones show. Anyway, let's get on track here and start looking at... So anyway, look at my... tweeted, aka Red Pill.
So you see here Candace Owens in Israel in the ceremony, and next to her is another guy. He is her new employer. Here is a tweet by President Donald Trump just 2 weeks ago. Candace Owens of Turning Point USA is having a big impact on politics in our country. So Trump is endorsing her, but what is Turning Point USA? Turning Point USA is an organization in which Candace Owens is the new spokeswoman and director of communication. Who owns this organization? It's this guy, Charlie Kirk, the guy that was sitting next to her in Israel. And here we see him together with President Trump, again together with President Trump. So this guy who has some relationship with President Trump hired Candace Owens, who used to work for the doxing site Social Autopsy. If you want to support this channel, or if you want to send a message or a question, you can use PayPal or Streamlabs. All the links are in the description. Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Hello, welcome. Welcome, I'm fine.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. Good show.
Thank you very much. Let me introduce you. We have a guest here tonight. It is another YouTuber. He is critiqued. He's from Ireland.
Hello, how are you doing? Grant, thanks. Thanks very much. Yeah. Oh, I need to close Skype. It's coming back in my ears.
Yes, I will close it too.
Oh, that's...
So, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, introduce yourself. Tell me about your channel, about what you're doing here on YouTube. It's the first time we speak, so I'd like to know more about you.
My channel and me on YouTube, I'm just highlighting as much as I can anything that is unhealthy, unwell. These are things that are been pushed on all of our people. That's what my channel is about, and that's where it started. It started sort of near the end of the Trump election, but I started noticing things before that I really wanted to speak about. I just had to sort of build up the courage to actually do it. And at the time, I had no way of actually making videos apart from like more or less on a phone. I just uploaded them. So I had to speak, so I just did it any way that I could, and it has just kept going from there. There's no shortage of stuff to be speaking about and highlighting, which is bad stuff, anti-white stuff, like your show is just showing it tonight. And it's mostly about things like this, things that are people that are coming into this country and been well looked after and been taken care of, and then turning around and trying to do things that are just so ungrateful and so despicable, really. I was nearly going to close the channel down one time, but then I seen people that were trying to do things like redefine the look of the Irish is one thing, and that just gave me, I just got re-energized after that. I had to just keep going because there's just so much of this stuff. It is relentless, and if I wasn't highlighting it, I don't know, I couldn't just blind myself to it. It would be impossible. So yeah, that's what my channel is about. Similar. I haven't seen much of your stuff, but I think it's fairly similar to what you do. Yeah, so what you were aiming for. It's to wake people up, basically, you know? Wake people up.
Yes, I started about the same time and about for the same reasons. I started my first channel, I think it was at the end of 2016 or at the beginning of 2017, and my subject was mostly about this giant wave of illegal immigration into Europe and how it is affecting Europe.
Yeah, you see, mine was at the start, I was on the Trump trend big time from the start, right? But the reason for that is now people are going to say, oh yeah, he's a puppet and all this, right? True, but the other option was Hillary Clinton, and I was thinking, like, we're bad enough here with this migrant crisis without her starting war with Russia on the edge of Europe, and you know, so that's where it started. I was trying to say, like, as bad as these two people are, like, pick him over her. He doesn't seem to be such a war hawk. And then it went from there, because everything then to do with the channel now is about Ireland, it really, and Europe, and everything that's going on. But there's so much stuff going on right here where I live that I barely get time to even look around anywhere else anymore, you know?
Yes, I know. When Trump was first elected, I was supporting him too, but now I think I'm disappointed.
So am I. I'm very indifferent to it now. I don't. I just see that as a phase that I've sort of went through. It was, the job is done. Like she didn't get elected, as far as I see that. After that, that's it. Like you don't even hear about him now, apart from the things that he does that pisses me off. Like fucking moving the. There was no need to move that place from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, cause all that hassle for nothing. And yeah, he does things sort of out of the blue. Like I know those, like firing the rockets into Syria and stuff, people were going crazy over that. But he really, like, there was nobody killed in that. That's another thing. So maybe he just had to do that just to please those people. I think he really is. I think Trump at the moment, and has been for a long time, is actually, I don't know whether it's been threatened or compromised in some other way, but they really have a grip on him, these Zionists, the Zog. So I don't even see him as, he's not really useful to any of these sort of movements anymore that are on the internet. People that are saying whatever they're alt-right or they're pro-white. He's not good to any of that. He's just an out-and-out civic nationalist. It is good that he's not such a war hawk as what would have been in there. But apart from that, it's just hot air now at this stage, you know. Very indifferent to him. Very disappointed by some of the stuff he did. But
yes,
life, isn't it?
Yes, I was disappointed for the same reasons by Trump. He seems to be very close to the Zionist lobby. And
he's married into it, daughter.
Yes.
You know, we all sort of blinded ourselves to that, didn't we? During the end of the election, it was I did. It was so much about keeping Hillary out, more so than what is actually coming in with Trump. And then realize after that, yeah, he really is well in with these Zionists or globalists or AIPAC or whatever you want to call them. It's all the same clique. Yeah, so I don't know. The first time I really got pissed off at him was last year. This time last year when he first attacked Syria out of the blue, and I was thinking, well, everybody was. Was it because his daughter was upset or what? You know, this is all used, but that's the first time I really started to think about him more so. I think that was it. Yeah, that was when I started to have second thoughts.
It was yes, it was the first time I questioned him too, because I knew that before he was elected, he was always against attacking Syria, and as soon as he became the president, within the first month, I think, he bombed Syria. And okay, maybe he did not cause any, no people were killed, but by attacking military, he destroyed airports of the Syrian army, which is helping ISIS, because when the Syrian army is fighting against ISIS and the US military is destroying capabilities of the Syrian army, they are actually helping ISIS.
Yeah, they are. And what is this? Like, you hear the plan for Greater Israel and stuff, and it does actually look like that's what it is. And I know it's always their intelligence that they use to do this. So, yeah, it is actually helping ISIS. And even though, like, I know people have gone over this so much, and I'm just going to say it once more really quickly, but why would Bashar al-Assad do that when he has just got ISIS out there, just finishing it off he was? And we're supposed to believe, I reckon if this was 15 years ago, people would believe, swallow it whole, they would, that he chemical attacked his own people. Because the media rely on us sort of thinking that people over in the Middle East are mad, they're all lunatics, and that's what we're sort of told. And they're capable of anything. And a lot of them are, especially the hardline Islamists, but they're not all like that. And Bashar al-Assad was very good, from what I've heard, to all religions. A secular leader, like, it just does not make one bit of sense. Anybody that pays attention more than the 6 o'clock news on TV. Well, in my country, it's total nonsense. Anything that CNN is putting out, they will more or less repeat it, just with an Irish accent. That's the only difference.
Yes, I agree. I think Assad is probably the most. He's the most normal, according to our way of life. The most normal leader in the Middle East, the most secular. He was protecting the Christian minority. He's not enforcing to women any burqas or headscarves. He and his wife, they look like European leaders.
They look like someone I would be proud to have as leaders of my country. And it was when I look at what's leading us at the moment, I would like to have somebody that has that look, a man with his wife and his kids, and not this. I'm not even going to go into it. You know what I mean? That gay Indian guy. Look, no, I respect Assad. I think it's fucking pathetic that he's still been made out to be this big black bad boogeyman of the Middle East that everybody should be terrified about. And a lot of people believe this stuff. That's the problem. Like, I went onto Facebook a couple of months ago just for a snoop, and people were actually still talking about in some of the groups about how evil he was, the way he attacked his own people and stuff like that. Actually, it's not even a couple of months ago, but yeah, so people believe that stuff. That's the problem, and that's what my channel is sort of about. Is trying to even make them just question things a little bit more than what the mainstream is feeding you when you come home from work in the evenings. People that only have 2 or 3 hours. Most people probably just watch, I don't know, the History Channel or stuff like that. We are going to get more BS, but the news itself really is the worst place you could go. Like, if that's the only media that you're going to look at for the evening. What's the news like where you come from? I'd say it's the same, because in Greece, isn't it? It would be all pro-EU news, would it?
I didn't understand your question about Greece.
No, I'm saying the news, the mainstream media in Greece, would it be the same as Ireland? It would be just pro-EU, constantly, nothing, not showing the bad aspects.
No, actually, Greece, the media, no, mostly the people are very divided on this subject. The media not so much, but we have anti-EU media. Actually, the government that we have today was against EU, but they were against EU before they were elected. After they were elected, they changed their mind. And I don't know, many people maybe don't know this, but in 2015 we had a referendum here in Greece in the summer, and so people voted if they wanted that the government obeys to the EU, or if we would go our own way. And 60% of the Greeks voted to go our own way.
I remember that. I was delighted you voted to go your own way. I remember that well, and wasn't one of your politicians brought in for a talk then over a weekend with the EU, and I think they just done his head in constantly for the whole weekend. And they sort of reneged on that. Is that what happened in the end?
I think they were pressured. They were pressured a lot, and well, I cannot blame them, because it's not easy for a small and poor and bankrupt country to suddenly go against the entire European Union. They could crush us.
Yeah. Same here. It's the same situation here. We were hoodwinked into it in a different sort of way, but actually very similar. Except we had 2 referendums, but it was the same thing. First time we said no, and we were actually made vote a year later. You probably know this, but yeah, we were made vote a year later. But during that year, the media just hyped it up in Ireland. They said that that if we leave, we're going to be left out in the cold, and Ireland will go back 30 years, and people's wages could go down. The banks could run out of money was another thing they were saying, like real stuff that people would be terrified of. And the people think the second referendum was rigged. I don't think it was. I think it was actual genuine fear from a lot of business people, and even people that just start small little businesses and stuff like that. They were so afraid from what the media was portraying Ireland to come out of this, like if we didn't go into the Nice Treaty. So yeah, the EU, that's another example. It's the same there in Greece as what happened here. We were forced into it, you might as well say. I don't think of it as legitimate because of this. I can't stand the EU. I would love to see us getting out of there, because everything in Ireland is different now than when we first joined. Completely different country. The EU only makes up for 16% of our actual exports and imports and stuff like that. 16%. So it's not the be and end all that everybody thinks it is. Like Ireland's biggest trading partners are America on one side and Britain on the other, and they make up over 80% of all of our trade. But still, there is not a huge anti-EU sentiment here, like there should be. Like I feel, there was a poll that came out the other day that said 92% of Irish people agree with being in the EU. I was disgusted when I seen this, but I don't believe it. That's the thing. I don't believe polls, because we've seen in Brexit and in the American election how polls can be rigged and oversampled in certain areas, and then when it comes out, the true thing comes out, it's actually not near like what the polls are saying. So it's tough. It's a hard one, but yeah, I would just love to see national governments been given their power back in some sort of a way, but I couldn't see it happening in the near future.
Yes, it's funny, but what you mentioned that happened in the Ireland, about the same things happened here in Greece. They were also, many politicians and media were terrorizing people that if we leave the EU, or even if we don't obey to the EU, our lives, everything will be destroyed. And actually in 2015 our banks closed. Our banks closed for many days, and when they reopened, they had capital controls by the European Union, and they still have today. So we cannot go to the bank and we cannot take our money. We can only take a small amount every day or every week. And this is happening now for 3 years. We are like prisoners.
Yeah, you're led and said by the EU. It's the same here. Maybe they did that to just give you a little scare. You see, the problem is the euro. None of us are, none of our countries are designed to work outside of being in this euro currency. And that's why we are led and said by them in these sort of ways. But the way they told you they're the same as us, that it will be set back years and everything. You would think that these countries never existed before the EU, the way they talk about it. And like, as a guy said to me in a stream the other day, would it be the worst thing in the world if we did go back 30 years? I don't think so. There's a lot of things that are more important than the country's GDP. And that is what actually keeps people docile, in my opinion, is going home and seeing on the news that the economy is doing better than ever. We're coming through this recession. We're coming out the far side and we're looking good again. And this keeps people content. But I don't know, in my opinion, of course, but I don't know if a lot of people would agree with this. I going back 30 years maybe wouldn't be the worst thing if it would mean national autonomy again, instead of being led and said, like the way you explained there, by this EU, which is anti-democratic as well, completely anti-democratic.
Well, actually, I remember life here in Greece 30 years ago, and it was better. It was better. I don't think that after all these that happened in the last decade, especially here in Greece, that that it was the right decision for Greece to join the EU. I think it was the wrong decision. And we will pay for this mistake for many decades. I want to welcome in the chat Bayo the Celt. Welcome. He's a very good guy, and I'd like to have him one day on my stream. And also I'd like to know everyone in the chat, you should check out the description of the show. I've added all the links to Critique's channel, Twitter and Gab. You should check them out and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you here.
I was glad when you asked me. I wasn't even thinking of going on a stream or anything. But then I said, yeah, I do. I would like to talk to you because I heard you before on other streams, and it just seemed like a very reasonable, level-headed person, and that's the sort of people I like to talk to. It was a pleasure for me too. But, yeah, we have to sort of do something about this EU. I don't know. It's the currency is the thing that gets us. It's hard to get out without your own currency. But I always look at Iceland and with envy and said to myself, the way they did it back then, they just said, you know, F it, let's just go for it, and we're going to do this our own way. And we actually had the balls to do that at the time. I think we would be in a much better place now. We wouldn't be, we wouldn't have these migrant quotas, and it was for one thing. I see AlphaGo said, good luck in the referendum. Thanks very much. I hope we can keep it as it is. The referendum is on this Friday in Ireland.
I think you have a referendum about abortions.
Yes, about to bring them in, just on tap for anybody that wants them. Like at the moment, they are performed when somebody's life is in danger or something like that. They want to bring them in, just for anybody, for whenever, anytime. And the country's split 50-50 on this. It is a big thing. So this Friday, we'll know by Saturday morning what the story is. But it's very close. It's very close. But even the polls are saying that. When they say it's close, it must be close. They're saying the yes side are just going to shave it. The side that want to bring it in. Of course, these are all young, very, very young people who are easily manipulated. Minds or, you know, and I'm thinking if they were given another 5 to 10 years, these people probably wouldn't even want this. So another thing they're trying to do here as well, I'll just say real quick, is lower the voting age to 16. That's another referendum we're supposed to be having in the next year. And that would be a disaster, as far as I can see, because apart from all the non-whites that would get votes because of this, young people themselves aren't, I don't think a 16-year-old is equipped with the knowledge to go and vote in stuff like this, referendums, and to vote for different governments and stuff. Well, it doesn't matter about the governments because they can do nothing anyways. But in referendums, it's important that people are informed. That I think they should really raise it to 21. But this Friday is a big one.
Well, voting at 16 years old, I think this would be disastrous because I've noticed a pattern in most countries that the young people are leaning more to the left. So if they did this would benefit the left a lot.
It would. And it would benefit like a lot of these people under 16 are non-Irish now. They're non-whites. It would benefit a lot of them. And we know from looking at patterns in America and even in Britain that most of these people vote left as well because it suits them to go against the interests of the natives. So it will give them a bigger say in things as well. It would be absolutely a disaster if that can lower the voting age to 16. I don't know if it will, but it is on the cards. We are going to have to vote on that in 12 months, fortunately.
Well, it's something that our government here in Greece has also proposed, that they were thinking of maybe doing something like this. And unfortunately, the government we have today, they are a far left, extremist left government. They are all former members of the Greek Communist Party. And when they proposed this, immediately I thought that they want the votes of the young people, because the young people usually are more vulnerable to the lies from the left.
True. Exactly why they want to do it. They are more, I don't know what the word is, they're more open to radical change, whether it be left. Well, they're more liberal usually, yeah. So I think that's why it's just it would be bad for everything that's this happens. I actually think even 18 is too young. If I had my way, I would raise it to 21 at least. Give people that little extra chance to just have more maturity, understand things better. Because when I look at myself, like when I was 18, I hadn't an absolute clue about politics, and I had no interest. Now I know not everybody would be like that at 18, but most people really would be, and they could be easily talked into. Like people could. These NGOs which are running the place now, and I'm sure it's the same there, and the people that speak for them, they could say like to people, yeah, you should vote this way because of blah blah blah, and they're just going to go in and do it because they can. And yeah, I agree. It just is it would be no good for anybody if this happens. So I just hope that is defeated. If we are going to have to vote on it. So yeah, hopefully people will realize what we're saying here is the truth, that it would be no good for anybody if this happens. We need to go the other direction. What I say.
I actually don't know much about Ireland, and I'd like you to tell me a little about the government that you have today. What are they, left, right? What kind of people are there? Are they?
Well, on paper they're called centre-right, but they're not. They're not right at all, or just centre. I would say they're sort of centre-ish. But the word I always use for them is progressives, because any of these progressive agendas, such as migration and other things like trying to privatize stuff and all this sort of thing, they're all for any of these sort of things. And really what they are is the same as they're EU minions, basically. They have no autonomy of their own. They can't. Our budget last year was seen by the German government before it was actually seen by our own. So that just tells me what they are. They're just a go-between, a middleman between the people and the EU. The EU has completely overtaken everything there. Just as an example, I got a text on my phone earlier today, and this is what the text said. It said, the EU privacy guidelines have changed, so we are changing in accordance with these. And I just looked at this and I said to myself, our own government hasn't even got a say in anything, not even in the data. It was something to do with data protection. It was coming straight from the EU, my mobile phone. So yeah, they're traditionally centre-right. At the moment, we have two parties in power who usually used to be fierce rivals. But in the last general election, it was a hung parliament, a hung Dáil, we call it, which meant that the party that was in power didn't have enough seats to actually run the country, but they had the most seats at the same time. So what actually happened was it was like very similar to what happened in Germany last September. There was no government, just this intermediate sort of a thing for 3 months. And then eventually people were sort of sick of it. They were saying, are they ever going to get it together up there? these are normies that think like that this government has an actual say. But I could see what was going on. Eventually, they came together as sort of one. Even though they will not say this, they will sort of say that they're rivals. But now they are agreeing on everything, as far as I can see. There's very, very little that they don't agree on. So I don't know if people, a lot of normies wouldn't agree with this, but I actually look at it as like our one government is propping up the other, and it's more or less a coalition of the two main parties in Ireland. So the only opposition we have to this now is Sinn Féin, which is a completely left-wing party, and a couple of other tiny parties, which are left-wing parties as well. Even Labour, they're even left-wing now as well. Yeah, they're all left-wing, apart from the two main parties that are in government, and they would be just progressive, which is a milder, maybe a tiny bit of a milder version of the left-wing, but all for the EU, all for it. That's the situation we're in here. It's sort of between a rock and a hard place. There is absolutely nobody to vote for to go against this EU agenda, because all the parties are in agreement that it's better off that we're in the union. So that's the situation here at the moment.
I have the impression that most European countries are in the same situation. There aren't many political options to vote. If you are on the right, if you are against the EU, if you are against the open borders, then you don't have anyone to vote.
You don't. If you are against this, you are in the sort of position where you're trying to wake people up, like what I'm in now. And I think what you're in as well is trying to make people aware of where this is going. And where it is going is that our peoples are going to be completely either replaced or just the population will get so dense from these non-whites and foreigners that it will be a completely different country, a completely different continent. And that's where we're going as far as from what I can see. I just think the EU don't care what people are there, as long as there's large populations in all these countries. I think they see this as replenishing Europe with this black fucking enrichment and this Islamic enrichment. And it doesn't matter to them what beliefs people have or any of these other things. They can rationalize all these things away with cultural relativism and race is only skin deep, all this stuff. As long as they are there and they're consuming and they are keeping this Ponzi scheme going, I think that's... And if you are going against this, you have nobody to vote for. Yeah, it's the same situation here. Absolutely nobody to vote for. It'll have to change slowly, though. I don't know what's going to happen, but some party's going to have to rise up. I always say it will change when people feel it in their everyday life and see a difference. But of course, they're trying to do their best to make sure that doesn't happen. They're putting all these migrants in Ireland off down in the west of Ireland. Usually they'd be put in Dublin, major cities, but they've been put into villages, so trying to hide them away. So I think it could be too late, maybe, and by the time people realise. I'm not sure. It's going to be a close race, and it is a race. I think it's a race to, pardon the pun, but it's a race to get people awake to this before we are defeated, and it's gone beyond the point of no return. That's how I see it. Basically.
Yes, I agree. I think that people like you and me, we are trying to wake up other people in order to see this situation, to see it now, because unfortunately most people start worrying about these things only when they start affecting them personally. So if you are living somewhere where in a small village or in a town that the population is still 90-95% white, then you don't get affected and you don't care. And like you said, like in Ireland, they are hiding them. The same thing is happening in other countries too. For example, here in Greece, they are the illegal migrants, these fake refugees. They are in like not concentration camps, but something like that, and they aren't free to move everywhere. And so Greek people aren't affected by their presence. But on the other hand, I see that in some other countries, like for example, Germany or Sweden, or if you look at Paris or London, these cities, they have become almost like third world countries. They are affected. But still, I don't see enough people reacting to this.
Yeah, I know. And it's crazy. I'm always wondering, where is this reaction going to come? Or when is it going to come? I really was convinced that Marine Le Pen was going to sweep the French elections this time last year. I had made videos on that, promoting her and saying, I made a video, I remember, saying, what was it, like 36 reasons to vote for Marine Le Pen. And I went through these 36 different terrorist attacks that happened in France. And a lot of French people actually at the time commented on that and agreed. And I thought she was a set to win that. But see, I don't know, Poseidon, is it that when these parties that actually are against this get to a certain level that they are, that the vote is rigged? That's what I am to be wondering, because when Macron was actually voted in France there, I remember just, it was not even 2 months after he was voted in, his popularity poll said that he was one of the most unpopular presidents ever. And he was just after being voted in on a landslide. Like, I couldn't make sense of that, or how quick this happened, why, but yeah, it's like in those countries, and in Greece, I don't know, I know a lot of migrants are in Greece, and the place has been turned upside down with them coming through there, but a lot of them are trying to get to these Northern European countries just for the extra social welfare. That's all they want. Now, in Ireland, they actually can move out of these concentration camps. That's the problem here. They have free movement once they come in here as asylum seekers. 30 of them were put into a 4-star, or I'm not sure, a very fancy hotel down in Lisdoonvarna actually recently, and 7 of them absconded straight away. And what the government came out and said was, well, if they have their own means, there's nothing we can do to stop them. They're free to move around Ireland if they want. These are people fleeing war, supposedly, have their own means. So it's even worse because they can move around, and they are moving around, and crime rates are starting to creep up here, especially assaults and things like that. And I'm just afraid that it will have to come to near maybe, well, even half the level that it's at in Sweden before people will start to actually realize. Because as you said there, it will take people having to be affected in their daily lives. But how is that going to show itself? Will it be that their taxes will be risen up, or will it be that they're going to meet violence and one of their family or relations could be raped? What degree or what extent does it have to get to before the people revolt politically?
I think, well, now that you mentioned the taxes being raised, I read yesterday an article about Sweden where they are thinking to raise the retirement age and taxes too, in order to, because they are starting to have an economic problem with all these migrants and fake refugees. So it has started affecting economically many countries, but I think this isn't enough. I think people will wake up in bigger numbers when they start being afraid to walk out of their home. But when we reach this point, then maybe it's already too late.
I agree. That's why I see it as a race. At the moment, it's already at that point in Sweden where you cannot leave the house at night if you are a girl in any of those major cities with the peace of mind that you will return in the same shape. Like, and that is just disgusting. Like, and I don't know if it will take it to come to that stage here. People here, I don't know how to actually word this, but people here would be aware of if they are being treated unfairly. That is something that is very important here, and all Irish people seem to have that, as a sense of fairness. Now, I'm not saying all, of course there aren't, everybody, but generally it seems to be a thing. And if they see themselves being treated unfairly, and these other people been treated differently, that could start something off. Now, the people in that little village I spoke of a minute ago, they voted before any of the migrants came in, and they voted 93% against it. And that just gave me hope, even though their vote was completely ignored by the government. It just showed me that these people really don't want it at the same time. But of course, the problem then was that they came out, and after such a positive vote, they came back around then and said that it's not that we don't want migrants, and it's not that we don't want, and we don't like other people from other cultures. It's just that there's no facilities here for them, and there's nothing here for them. It's only a little village. And I thought that was a bit of a cop-out. They should have stuck with their vote, and they should have said, no, we don't want these people here. They're not fleeing war. They're all single men from all sorts of countries, except Syria, which is the only country that's supposed to be at war, and Iraq. They're from everywhere, from Bangladesh to Afghanistan or India, you know yourself, and then a lot of Africans as well, from all sorts of places. So that's what they should have said, and I would be expecting that the next town that gets a rude awakening like this will say that, hopefully. Not be apologetic.
Now that you mentioned this, I remember I read a CNN article about 1 year ago. It was from the Greek edition, CNN Greece, and they had the numbers of the arrivals of refugees in the Greek islands for 1 month. I think it was December 2016. And they had the ethnicities of all the people that arrived during this month in all Greek islands. And I saw this, and I summed up all the ethnicities for each island, and what I found out was that people from Syria were less than 5%. 95% were from all over the world, from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Tibet, from Africa, even from South America, Venezuela, Chile, even from the Caribbean, people from Cuba, from Jamaica, from Haiti. They traveled to Turkey in order to get into a small boat and get into Greece and claim refugee status.
What you said there is exactly what I would like every person in this country to realize and come out and actually say when they see this crap being pushed into their towns. It does my head in. This is so simple to find out. Like what you have said there is absolutely fact. There are welfare tourists that are coming from all over the world, and they know that once they are not white-skinned people, they can bluff their way and say they're from anywhere, and most of them will get in. And this is the problem. This is the problem here as well. We have a complete open border at the moment. Nobody can be turned away unless they're white. Anyone that claims asylum has to be kept. I 100% agree with you there. That's exactly what needs to be said by everybody.
Yes, and it wasn't a right-wing source. It was CNN that reported this, and I thought this was insane. 95% were not Syrians, and they come into Europe, they come into Greece. They don't stay in Greece because, well, Greece is poor and they don't get many benefits here compared to other richer countries.
You're right.
And this is also a reason that we don't have, although many come into Greece, not many stay here. Us being poor saved us in a way.
Yeah, your location saved you probably as well, because, well, yeah, no, you're right. It's actually that they want the extra social welfare. I'd say they would rather be in Greece if they could get that extra, what they get on the social in places like Sweden and Germany because of the nice weather. That's what I'd be thinking. I even said to a guy last week, what will we end up having to do? Maybe we will end up having to move to the furthest northern parts of Europe where non-whites just cannot survive. But no, that was just a joke. Something is going to have to change before that. Something.
Well, I think the thing that attracts them is the money. They come strictly because they want to live a good life without having to work, something that they cannot do in their country. But when they enter Greece and then they manage to get, for example, to Germany is giving them free housing, free food, free internet access, cash in order to drink alcohol or smoke, and they also get the chance to harass blonde white women. So for them, it's a free vacation.
Yeah, it's the land of milk and honey for them. But yeah, you said they want to come for the good life. That's true, the good free life. They don't want to come and do anything good to contribute to this life. And yeah, they want to mess and annoy and harass European women. And I think they were told a lot of this stuff. I read before about pamphlets that handed out in the Middle East where they're actually told by some of our chosen friends who create these, like Open Societies Foundation, saying, come to Europe, get a nice house, get a white girlfriend, all these different incentives. And these were all things that these people expected, because did you notice when they get here, they're so demanding. They think that they are entitled to everything. And where do they get this entitlement from? It's because they have been, well, I believe, and because of what I read on this thing, that they have been prepped to be like this. That Europe is there for them, and they are needed. It's not like they need us. They see it as we need them. And a lot of them do see it like that. And this is a problem, you know. They have to be, they're going to get an awakening, because this money cannot last. And they're going to kill off, this was said in the podcast, I thought it was brilliant, they're going to kill off the goose that laid the golden egg, which is us, and then where are they going to be? You know? That's where I think it's heading for. But hopefully some intervention before then by our people would be good.
Yes, I saw somewhere a documentary about this leaflets that some members of NGOs give to them, and many of them are funded by this George Soros NGOs. He is involved in this thing, and
everywhere.
Yes, he's made it his life mission to flood Europe with Muslims and Africans.
He donated 18 billion of his own money to this agenda. 18 billion. And then I'd be wondering why politicians changed their opinions so quickly. And I believe that this money has been used as backhanders for different people to pay off different people. It's probably been used to pay smugglers to print these leaflets. Like 18,000 million is just colossal. Like I'd say that money is not even spent yet, like, or even near it, and most people will be paid off for that.
Yes, it's...
18 billion is unreal.
Yes, this a real evil man, so, and you can actually see it in his face. He has the face of evil.
He does, but yeah, he is, and he does. But I think, does he even think himself he's doing good? I don't think he does. He knows that the social impacts of these cultures clashing is going to be detrimental to the civilized people. He knows that. He tries to make out that he's doing it from a good place and it's coming from a place of love. It's not. It's not. We know. That's what we need to get the rest of the people realizing. It's completely sinister. Now, a lot of people might think the Killarney plan is a conspiracy theory, but it's not. And it seems to be this. It's a similar sort of plan that they're following. That's why I always say to people, our last resort is if we really are in this for the long haul and there's going to be no opposition and we're not going to have a political party, please do not misogynate and tell your children, your girls, that when they come up to 10 or 11 or 12 years of age, that this is, I don't know how you could do it. It's such a, people are going to have to learn how to do this, just to teach them that this is wrong, because it's wrong because it's been orchestrated by globalists. That's why it's wrong. It's not natural. You know, and I even said in a video before, if two different peoples came into contact with each other, naturally that would be different. But this has been done by outside forces, by foreign money on each of our countries, and this is why, as a last resort, I don't know what I'd call it, red pilling the kids or something like that. But you know, at the moment, it just looks hopeless in some ways. I hate to be black-pilled, but it does. But at the same time, people are waking up a little bit. I can see that. The voting list environment showed me that. They need to speak it, not just say it when they have anonymity in the ballot box, or when you have anonymity in Twitter comments or something. People need to speak it, even speak it in the videos exactly like what you're doing, because the spoken voice is so much more powerful, and it's more listened to, and it's more believed, and people will look into things instead of just reading something for you, something that's written by a random member of the public. That won't wake any normies. That's the way I see it anyways. I could be wrong there, but that's how I see it. So that's why I commend you in what you're doing. It's fantastic. Just keep it up, man. The more people that do this, the better.
Yes, we need a lot more people. There should be thousands doing this, because this is a race against time. People will wake up, but the question is if we will manage to wake up to the truth, the majority of the people, in time. And it's an unfair race, because we get a lot of censorship. It's not easy to speak about these subjects, because first, it's not easy to speak publicly with your face, because there are laws against it in many European countries, hate speech laws, laws about racism or anti-Semitism. They can label you however they want in order to shut you up. And what comes to my mind now is the type of censorship that all of us have felt on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, in most social media platforms.
I know, and sure, we have. I have felt it as well. We are in complete enemy territory when we are using YouTube. That's why I'm looking into starting maybe a website or something like that, because I find even myself, and sometimes when I'm in videos, I will just slightly self-censor myself, because I know that if I say certain things, the video is going to get pulled down. Like some of my previous videos have just YouTube not put in limited state now. I don't mean that, just completely deleted off of YouTube and never seen again. That has happened to 2 of my previous videos. So yeah, that's true. That's so true. All platforms maybe would be the way forward. But even a website is subject to Google. It can be as clamped down as YouTube.
Well, they basically control the entire internet. So even if your website, if they think you are causing them trouble, they will find a way to shut it down, either by your provider or by your host or by your ISP. No, I had my first YouTube channel was over a year ago, that I started it in 2017, and it lasted only 3 months, I think. And I was supporting, it was a February, March 2017, and I was supporting back then in the elections Marie Le Pen in France and Wilders in Netherlands. And they deleted my channel, but because I was very careful, I did not have anything within my videos that could be considered hate speech or a copyright strike. They deleted my channel claiming I was using bots to gain traffic. And we are talking about a very tiny channel. And then I made this channel, not this, actually this is my secondary channel, my primary Poseidon channel. I made it in December 2017, and almost since the first week I constantly had the videos put in limited state or age restricted or completely deleted. My channel had a strike from the first week I started it until last week, and last week when the strike expired, I managed to do 1 live stream, and immediately after the live stream I got a strike again.
And was there anything in the live stream that was hate speech that you think?
No, they didn't strike me. They didn't strike the live stream. They gave me a strike for an older video. And this video, it was a compilation of clips from various videos from mainstream sources, mostly with people or politicians or famous people that were talking about the end of whiteness. And I just compiled clips from videos that are on YouTube for many years with hundreds of thousands of views. I did not express any personal opinion. And this compilation was striked and deleted as hate speech.
That doesn't make sense at all. And I know I've heard of other things happening similar. Did you want to say, go ahead there?
No,
what?
I think I just want to say that they don't actually, you don't actually need to break any rule in order for them to give you a strike or to delete your video or to even delete your entire channel. If they think that if you are annoying to them, they won't even obey to their own rules, and they will give you a strike.
Yeah, they will. They have these trusted flaggers. I'm sure you've heard of those by now.
Yes.
And that's like such a joke. Trusted flaggers, like God only knows what you have to be a trusted flagger. I have said before, I would say once you have left-leaning views, and I'd say that would be it. You would be trusted to flag. But I got the same treatment just there a month ago with a video. It was the soundtrack of, it was a song, a Metallica song, Blackened, that I used in a video with just a montage of pictures. Just Google image photos of different globalists and different people, and just writing beside people quotes that they would have said down through the years. One of them was that guy from the I think he started the World Health Organization, or Brock Chisholm. And then there was another one from Irish politicians, just photographs. And I did not speak once, not even once, in this 6-minute video. This video is on my Gab now, and it's on Minds. But YouTube just completely deleted this and said the reason they gave was hate speech, even though not one speak was there in the video for me. Not one spoken word, I mean. Not one word did I speak in this video. And that's why it's just a joke. They don't keep to their own rules. You're exactly right about that. No, they don't. Not at all.
And
yeah.
You know, I've noticed something else. If you search into YouTube for example, for Adolf Hitler, you will find thousands of videos with his speeches. You will find videos and channels that are praising him, videos that are on YouTube for many years with many views, and they actually do not delete this. So some content that is considered extreme, they don't mind hosting it. And I think I know why. Because the extreme content is not considered dangerous by them. Because a normie that visits YouTube and sees a speech of Adolf Hitler will not suddenly open his minds and realize some truths about today. But a video like the one that you said, that has nothing extreme in it, but uses images in a way that a normie can suddenly realize the truth, this is the real danger for them. And this is why they strike this type of content, while they will turn a blind eye to more extreme content.
Yeah, I think you're dead right there. And I never looked at it like that before. That would be a reason, because normies would be put off by an Adolf Hitler speech. They're not going to wake up to anything by looking at that. Now, I did see The Greatest Story Never Told was struck down a lot at the start, but I just think they probably must have gave up on that because it had been re-uploaded so many times. But when they see people like us reiterating the good points about certain things and showing the bad aspects of other things that are actually in today's world, that are happening right now, I think they see that as a much bigger threat. And we can actually, well, anybody can convey this stuff to the, well, I would say me and you would be mostly in echo chambers. Most of the people in the chat are well aware of everything that we're aware of. But it's the people that maybe just come around every couple of weeks or that, and it's just their interest is sparked. This is what they don't want to see happen, is to see it spreading. the truth of, and of course YouTube is completely left wing, and apart from the trusted flaggers, they have the ADL on board. So yeah, I think a lot of the reason I got away with this for so long is because I started my channel in 2011, like years ago, and I never used it for anything. In 2015, I started uploading a couple of videos of me playing guitar, jamming along with different songs, just like Metallica songs or stuff like that. And it was only around October 2016 that I actually started putting my face on camera and giving my opinions on political things and stuff like that. And that's probably why I didn't get struck down straight away. Like, but I would say now that they are keeping an eye on every new channel that comes up that has any sort of a look to it that looks pro-white or alt-right or anything like that. I said they're watching out for this constantly. That could be the reason that I didn't get struck down for a while. For the first year, like I got nothing. During that Marine Le Pen election, I was putting out videos about that as well at the time. Now I have most of them deleted by now because I was so sick that she lost. But I never got anything back then like now. Not like the heavy censorship that's on me now. Like every week now I get something about copyright. Like my channel was demonetized a month ago. I had it monetized for the first year, and I knew it. I only did it just to see, like, to get a grasp of actually what these ads are, what way it works, and actually what's the story with it. But I never actually even collected a thing off of monetization ever. But it still got demonetized 2 months ago, or yeah, about 6 weeks ago. And yeah, I think the reason I got away for so long is because the channel was it looked like an innocent channel for such a long time. And then I was actually planning on starting a new channel this time last year, but I said, no, I won't. I'm going to stick with this one. And I just think that's what gave me a few months grace. But now I'm being heavily censored. I'm actually thinking, there was a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking of giving up on YouTube and just uploading to Minds and stuff like that. But there's restrictions on these sites. You can only upload a 15-minute video to Minds, so that's not much good. And my videos get no views on Gab at all, so that's not much good either. But I think if all of our content was completely removed from YouTube, the people that watch it would migrate. They would go to other websites if it was all removed. But if some of us are migrating here and there, and a lot of people are still on YouTube talking about these things, well then, for easiness, the crowd seem to want to stay with YouTube, which is understandable. It's very easy. Just switch it on there and watch any video. But I think our days are coming to an end on YouTube. I'm not sure, but I think they could be. That's why I'm very subtle about things now, especially when I mention our friends, the chosen ones. But yeah, so I used to actually be straight out about things like that. I would say it straight out, the ethnicity. I still would name them once there's specific people that I'm naming. I don't like this. It's just them and it's them and it's them. Yeah, it is them, but naming the specific ones, especially when I'm making a video, is much more effective, I think, because then somebody can actually look up who you're talking about and what they said. People like Nicolas Sarkozy, you know, and his famous speech. That's something that energizes me every time I see that clip where he tells the French people, "You must métissage." Every time I see that, I want to make a video on it, a new one. You know?
Yes, this is classic. I think it was 2008 where he said that we must mix, and if we don't agree, then they will force it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's a real bad one. So it's very seldom you get great quotes out of globalists like that, but that is a good one. That just shows you what he's thinking.
Yes, and you know, there are many classic clips like this, like the other from Sweden with Barbara Spectra, and many. And so they actually they are not hiding their intentions. They are not hiding their plan. It's out there. It's openly. Everyone can see it. They admit it, but still most of the people choose not to see it. It's sometimes I think it's like they have managed somehow to put most people under a hypnosis.
Yeah.
We are like zombies, or like, you know, the movie The Matrix.
Yeah, we're like that. Or it's like a severe version of Stockholm syndrome, where we actually are blinding ourselves to the bad sides of our overlords in a different sort of way. But yeah, the people are actually like zombies. That is true. And I keep going back to this. I think it is completely economics that keeps them like this. The fact that they have an easy life, everything is just a short walk away, everything you need, like, and this is why it's gonna have to come to the next level where people are gonna have to feel it. And that's why until that, I'm just gonna keep trying to highlight anything that I see that is going against Irish people or European people or white people, all of these things, which are the same anyways. Anything that is ridiculing these people, or if I see these anti-whites gloating in their publications, this is what I want. This is the sort of thing I want to expose, and hopefully, eventually, we'll get to a more positive place. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, the good thing is that we actually have the truth on our side, and it's not a hidden truth. It's out there, and we just have to point the finger and make people look at it.
Yeah, I agree. That's it. We have the truth on our side. That's why I have no inhibitions about what I'm doing, and that's why I don't mind putting my face out there. I always say as well, like, there are UN guidelines for freedom of speech, like especially when there's a political thing going on. Like, you are allowed to use your freedom of expression, and when I see these cases in the UK where people are being done by the police for certain things that they say, I always say to myself, why aren't they using these laws that are there to protect your freedom of expression? And obviously it's because maybe it would cost thousands to actually get a barrister who would do this properly. But no, I see it now as we've nothing to lose. We're already losing our countries. We're already losing we've been disenfranchised. We're losing our people, and especially here, apart from the people who are being replaced, they're also leaving the country every year, young people who look for work in other parts of the world. So, and we have been, it has been estimated that we're going to become a minority here by 2050, which is roughly the same in most European countries, and I think it's the same in North America around that year. So what more do they need is what I do be saying to people, that we have the truth on our side, that is sure.
Yes, this is another scary subject that in the middle of this century, we will become minorities in most of our countries. But the scariest thing is that by the end of this century, there will be so few of us left, so that most of our countries will look like South Africa looks today. And this is something that scares me. Of course, I won't be alive then, but my children will. And I don't want my children to live in a place like South Africa where they will be a tiny minority. And you know, there's a big difference between us and other cultures. We treat the minorities in our countries much better than they will treat us when we become the minorities.
Yeah, we do. Yes, we do. We've been sending aid to Africa here since I was a toddler. I remember especially every Easter, we would get these boxes to bring home from school. put them on top of the TV, and people would put money into them for the 2 or 3 months of Easter or that, and this would all be sent over there, and absolute crazy altruism. When people in this country absolutely had very little themselves, they used to give as much as they could to these charities. Now, a lot of people have woken up to this sense that it's a bottomless pit, but there still is a huge amount of people here who support all these people in these countries where they're having kids at ridiculous levels that aren't sustainable at all. We're told that Africa's population will double in the next 20 years or something like that. Like, why is that our problem? You know, that is not our problem if they're appropriating recklessly. I don't see why we should have to fund that, but at the moment that is what is expected of us because we have done it for so long. And this is a thing that needs to change, this mindset of we always have to be looking out and helping the others across the world. No, I think now charity starts at home, and especially here where we have the highest number of people homeless on the streets in this country that we have ever had since records began. And it is craziness in my mind to send aid of any kind to anywhere, or even bring these people in here while this is going on. Until you get your own house in order, we shouldn't really be doing any of this stuff, this crazy altruism. But yeah, we will be treated a lot worse by these people, and there is no doubt about that. South Africa is just one example, but I'm thinking as well, by then, you're saying you don't want to see your children in that situation, same as myself, and I don't want to see any of my people in that situation. But that's going on current trends. If the current trends stay the same, we are going to be such a tiny minority in the next 100 years that we will be insignificant, only to be genocided. That's the only thing. But if these current trends can be changed some way, Poseidon, is what I'd be thinking sometime. If, like, with God Almighty, if this happened, that we got a sort of a nationalist government who would actually incentivize the native people to be able to have families and not have it in such a way that even to rear one child here, you have to have 2 parents working. If that can be turned around, these trends can be turned around, I think. And if the youth can be woke up in such a way that they realize that you need to have, like, see, a lot of this is post-modernity as well, and we have taken religion out of the equation. That used to always make sure that we always have big families. I'm indifferent about that as well. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing to bring that back, but something has to change, because according to these current trends, we are just going to vanish, and it's not going to be a pretty end. That's the problem. But these trends need to change some way. I don't know how. I know of examples before where they have changed, and it has been done through incentivizing the natives to procreate, and we could say where, but so if we could do that here and in all of our countries in Europe, the globalists could not use this excuse to us that these are so underpopulated and the population is aging. This is what George Soros always says, and you only have a birth rate of whatever 1.5. I seen him saying that to the British people. He said your birth rates are so low. We need to get rid of that excuse. He should not have that as an excuse. And if the current trends can be changed, that could change everything. And trends can be changed. That's the thing. It can. It just needs the political will and the people, the will of the people to make it happen.
Well, many times I think of our parents and our grandparents. They were having at least double the birth rates that we have today, and they weren't living in a more wealthy time. I think we are better. We have better lives today than our parents and our grandparents had, but still we think that it's not enough, because many times I ask people, why don't you have more children? I ask this at couples that only have one child, and they usually tell me for economic reasons.
Oh.
Yes, but I think this is just an illusion, because the previous generations had 3, 4, maybe 5 children, and they weren't rich. So I think we are brainwashed into believing that we need more money and more stuff and a more luxurious life, and we don't. So we believe that these material things are more important to our life than having children, and this is something that was it became our belief through brainwashing from these elites.
Yeah, it is, and I agree, because if somebody has, like, if you have children here and you are prepared to work and actually rear them that way, it is astronomically expensive. There is no doubt about that. That's not an illusion. But what the illusion is that people think, well, people want to have the same comfortable life that they have as single people when they have the kids, and that's just not how it was always done before. As you said there, when our parents and grandparents had children, they were not in such luxury as people are nowadays, and that is a part of the problem. But when you look at these people who are coming from outside of our continent and they are coming here, it does not worry them about having 3 or 4 or 5 kids and not having any work to pay for them. So there is a good point to what I heard a YouTuber saying before, is let the whole thing burn itself out. Go on the social, have as many children as you can, let the government pay for them. Why shouldn't we? It's our country. If these non-whites and non-Irish and non-Europeans are doing it in our countries, why shouldn't we? So that's another argument to it. Should we just have them? And like, we have to be, it's ethnic discrimination if Mohammed up the road is getting all of his stuff for not off the government, including his house, and you know, Paddy and Mary down the road are working their asses off to pay for one child. So, but if the government turned around and said, "Oh no, like you can't go on the social the way they can," well, then that would, I think that's what needs to be done on a huge scale as well, in a way, to try and just, you know, because if we don't, I don't know what the alternative is. It's going to be what you explained a minute ago. We are going to just fizzle out and fade away. So, but another thing as well I've been thinking is the generations after World War II, the baby boomers, and that they came into a world where nothing was supposed to be stable. There could have been nuclear war at any minute. It was a very messed up time, sort of. So that's why I think these white people that are born now, even the Generation Z or after that, who are coming into a world where they are being told that, and they see themselves that they are going to become minorities. They are predicted to become minorities. This could have a huge effect on these people. And that's what I'm hoping for, but I hate putting all my eggs into the one basket and hoping for that. This is why I'm trying to wake up all people of all, you know, ages, of anywhere that can see my stuff. But yeah, I think trends can change, and I'm hoping that they will.
Yes, I sometimes think, as an example, Germany, after World War II, Germany was completely destroyed. But still, so they had, the Germans that survived the war, they had higher birth rates than the Germans today, in much worse conditions. So the conditions and the economy is just an excuse for people. I think we lost we lost our natural way of life during the last 2 generations, because for thousands of years one of the main goals in life for every human was to have as many children as possible, and suddenly we forgot this, and this is our main problem that causes all other problems. Because imagine if we lived in a Europe where each woman was having 3 or 4 children. There would be no open borders, there would be no migrants if we had a steadily rising population like we had for thousands of years. The fact that we stopped doing children is what helped the elites to push for the open borders agenda and convince us to accept all these new people from other continents and other cultures.
Yeah, it is, and we have been conditioned into this. Even during the 1990s, I remember people would say, you don't want to have too many kids, the world is overpopulated, and why would you want to burden yourself with so many kids? This was a sort of a thing, it was nearly like a meme. It was a common thing that was going around that people thought, and also it was pushed by these the green sort of politicians who are saying that resources are only there's only so much resources, and people need to be conscious of that and not procreate recklessly. I've often heard that been said. It is bad to procreate recklessly, and this is a lot of the reason why, of course, feminism, third wave feminism, bringing half of the country's people into the workforce, that a lot of the blame can be laid there, and we know who pushed that throughout the 20th century. So when you look at it, really, I can see that it is the same. All of this degeneracy and all of this unnatural stuff, it comes from the same source. There is no doubt about that. And that is I count that as, if you can see that, that is the real red pill, in my view. And if we could bring the people to even half, we even believe half of that, it would be so much even. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm just hoping that these trends can be changed. But what do you think about women in the workforce? Like, they seem to want more of that, these globalists and our own governments. There's more affirmative action coming out, more gender this and gender that. It goes on here. So I can't see that being turned around. It's going to be hard to have these families without women not working.
Well, if we don't change that, then there's not much we can do. The only way to have high birth rates is if women start having babies at a young age, because if you have your first child when you're 30 years old, and then maybe the second when you're 35, you cannot have children until when you're 40, 45 or 50. There is a time limit, and the fertility also drops drastically as women get older. And if you look at other cultures in the Middle East or in Africa, but even in our own cultures, 50 or 100 years ago, women were marrying and having their first child at a young age, at 18 or 20. And this is the only way that you can have higher birth rates. If women after finishing school start working or start studying and start going after a career, then when they realize that they must have children, it usually is too late biologically, and this is why they only have 1 or 2 children. So this is something that must change.
It must change, I agree, but how is it going to change? It's not going to be easy, that is one thing, that's for sure, because it is so programmed into women and into Western people that women are just part of the workforce, and that's the way, of course they will say that's the way it has been for the last 100 years. How are you going to change this? It's going to be tough. It's the thing. So it's all part, it comes back to trying to wake people up again to these things, that some things are more important than just the here and the now. 20 years down the road, people can try and foresee what things are going to look like then. And of course, I think of South Africa, as you probably do too, but yeah, so I don't know, it really is, and even say now it's part of Western culture that women work, which it sort of is, because it has been going on for so long. And I've seen loads of cases, like you said, where women have worked all of their lives, and then, well, all of their child rearing years, most of them, and then have 1 child in their mid-30s, and that is where all these excuses that the globalists are using are coming from. But I just don't know how we're going to change that. It would have to be, I don't think we could change that culturally. See, I don't know, unless it was legislated for in some way, that not that women cannot work, we could not do that because there would be uproar, but that they are incentivized to stay at home and have children, and they are made aware that you will have more long-term happiness, because studies do show that women that have a family, in most cases a healthy family, like where the husband's okay and everything's fine like that, they are a lot more happier in the long run than women who have a career and realize at 40 that I should have had a child. And they need to be made aware of this the moment they think work is the best thing for them.
I think one way could be to incentivize young people to have children by giving them economic incentives, some economic benefits or low tax rates, and have very high tax rates for those that choose not to have children. But the problem is, this would be effective if there were no outsiders within our countries. Now that we have the outsiders, if we did this, they would also benefit. So maybe we should first close our borders, deport the people that don't belong in our countries, and then enforce policies that incentivize young couples to have children, many children at a young age.
Yeah, I would be all for that, especially because when you were saying there that we incentivize these people and that these invaders are going to have the same incentives, I was thinking to myself, well, no, I would actually make it. And I would use a logical argument. I would say, look, the native population's birth rate is 1.9. That needs to go up. This should be said straight out by a politician if he had balls between his legs. He should say, no, the native population needs to rise because of the low birth rate. And your population, if you want to stay in this country, needs to level out. So if any of these, if they didn't want to have it, it's going to be hard to get these people out, repatriate them. That would be the best thing, of course. But if we cannot even do that, they should not be incentivized the same way that native people would be. They should be actually discouraged. And people will, of course, say then this is, of course, discrimination. But I don't think it would be. It's not when the native population's fertility rate is so low, and these people are having something like 4 to 5 kids per couple. There needs to be a balance there. And if it needs to be legislation that provides that, I think that's a reasonable argument to make, that, look, our native population needs to grow, and we are not going to be replaced in our own country by outsiders, and that is the reason for this legislation, and it should be made as plain and as clear as that. But with the EU over us in every way and in control of everything, we wouldn't last 2 seconds with that sort of legislation. They would freeze us out of the economy. People won't have that. They want to lose or problem.
Yes, so maybe the first step is to get out of the EU.
I think so. I think so. And get our own currency back first. Have our economies prepared for being outside of the EU. And I have to say, I'm going to finish off here because I'm going to have to head now in a second. But I just wanted to say that all of our peoples, Poseidon, no matter how bad we think it is now, and it is pretty bad, we have come through worse, and we have come out the other end, and that's one positive thing. I know it's not much, it's sort of a nihilistic thing to say, but it is true. It is a true thing. And I think if people like you and me and everybody else that even just talks, keeps doing what they're doing and just keep going along this to try and change things politically. Like, we cannot change anything politically until we have enough people who are thinking and realizing the truths that we are realizing. And until we get there, we may just keep plugging away at and keep highlighting every double standard that is done against us. There's no shortage of it, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very, very nice speaking to you.
It was very nice speaking to you too. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was an honor for me having you here as a guest. I want
to be here.
I want to thank you. I want to urge everyone in the chat to check the links in the description. I have put all the links of your channel, YouTube, Twitter, Gab, and I would really enjoy if in the future we had a conversation again, either on my channel or your channel.
Yes, I would love that. I would be looking to stream sometimes, and I'd like to just go over the news. That's what I'm thinking. If we could go over the news and point out all of these hypocrisies and double standards and all of the anti-white stuff, which is all an attack on us, that would be great. We will chat in the future. I have no doubt about that. And thank you very much for inviting me on. I really enjoyed this conversation. For plugging the channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Yeah, anytime, if you plan to have a stream and you want me on, just let me know. I would be very happy to come.
Yeah, I will, without a doubt. That will happen. That will happen. Now that we have the first one done, I will be on to you, without a doubt. But I'll go for now. So thanks everybody for listening. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you soon, Poseidon.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Bye, good night.
Good night, thank
this was critiqued. A very good guy, a YouTuber from Ireland. I hope you enjoyed our chat as much as I enjoyed it. I want to thank everyone that watched the show tonight. I will try to make these shows daily. So you will probably hear from me again tomorrow about the same time. If you're in the US, I wish you a nice evening. If you are in Europe, I wish you a good night. I also want to thank Objective Realism for donating today. Goodbye from me, and we will talk again tomorrow.